Welcome to the next episode of Weirdos Like Me. I am Dr. Shannon, your chief weirdo. And honestly, I wanted to start this episode with talking about creating goals because we are coming into a new year. So, everybody's talking about new goals, New Year's resolutions, things like that. But as I was starting to think about creating goals, I realized that there's a whole back end to it that you have to address before you create a goal. You have to know what your belief system is, because if you don't change your belief system, you can't ever really implement the action steps needed to not to create a new goal, but to actually meet your goal, I guess is what I'm saying. Because how many people create New Year's resolutions every single year and then never actually complete them, right? It's easy to say, I'm going to do XYZ, but if you don't change the belief system behind why you're doing the current action that you're doing now, you're never going to get there. And I'm not saying you as in you, like this is blame. This is everybody. This is me. This is just human nature. This is why I decided, okay, we're not going to talk about creating a goal right now, which we will do later, but we're going to talk about your subconscious belief system right now, what that is, and why it's important for you as you try to approach and solve problems. Okay. So your subconscious belief system determines how you talk internally to yourself, how you talk to yourself and about yourself, which then determines how you actually view yourself and how you view yourself in the world, which how you view yourself in the world is how you come at every problem in your approach and how you solve problems. Now, what most people don't realize is how you approach and solve problems and how you view yourself in these situations actually determines your physiology, because your physiology is going to match whatever frequency your subconscious beliefs and thoughts are creating as the environment in your body, right? So do you think that negative emotions and negative thoughts are going to create a high vibration in your body? Are they going to cause your body to create and release good, healthy, happy hormones? Or are they going to cause your body to create and release the hormones that match the frequency of stress? Things like cortisol, adrenaline, et cetera, right? I mean, everything in your body is a balance and homeostasis, or working towards that, right? Now, you don't want to exist at homeostasis every single second. I mean, oh gosh, sorry, I'm about to go off on a tangent here. If everything in your body was at homeostasis every single second, you would not be alive, right? If everything was just like flatlined, stable, you'd be dead. So things are going to ebb and flow every single day. That's normal, right? Your body, though, is going to try to create homeostasis by matching things together. So the frequency of your subconscious beliefs and your thoughts, if they don't match the actions, the frequency of the actions you're wanting to take, what's your body going to choose? It's going to choose the frequency of your subconscious beliefs. Like 98 or 99, I don't remember the exact percentage, but 98 to 99% of your daily actions stem from your subconscious beliefs. That means you're not even aware that this is occurring. And when do your subconscious beliefs actually become ingrained into your system? You have most of your subconscious beliefs ingrained by the time you're 6 or 7 years old. So I'm not saying there aren't ways to change it once you're older than 6 or 7, but it's a lot freaking harder. So this is why it's so important. One, this is a tangent for a second, for kids. And when especially if you're a parent or you're a caregiver or you have a young child in your life, they are literally molding and forming their subconscious right now. And everything that they encounter, everything they see, hear, do is molding this. So it's important to know this because things matter, right? Now, once you are past the age of 6 or 7 and you get older, and especially when you're an older adult, when you go to try to make changes, it seems so hard. And this is why, because you might consciously want to make a change and you say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. But if your subconscious then immediately pivots back to whatever thought was ingrained into your system by the time you were 6 or 7 years old, without you even knowing this is happening, you might then, in a way, self-sabotage what the action you're trying to take. It's not on purpose. It's because you're unaware of these thoughts that were programmed. I mean, I don't even remember what I did yesterday. I don't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, let alone remembering what happened when I was 6 or 7 years old, or 2 or 3, or whatever it is that programmed some of these subconscious beliefs into my system, right? So this is why it's tough. But ultimately, we are in charge and we're responsible for how we perceive our world and how we manage our emotions. We are in charge of raising our emotional IQ, or our emotional intelligence. So am I saying you're not allowed to get angry if somebody does something to hurt you? Of course, I'm not saying that. Of course, you're allowed to get angry. In fact, you should get really angry. Get angry and let that emotion course over you and feel it. And then after, as my friend Elsa from Frozen, who Bexley, my daughter, is currently obsessed with, so I hear this like 1,000 times a day, likes to say, after, let it go, right? And you're not really going to like let it go in terms of you're never going to remember it again. That's not what I'm saying. And in fact, if you do forget everything in your life, that's not necessarily a healthy approach either. But the ultimate question is not, are you allowed to get angry and are you allowed to feel anger? But is holding on to that emotion serving you and the people closest to you? And I'm using anger as an example, but you can use it for any emotion, right? So say if you stay angry, resentful, bitter forever, is that going to help you or your friends and your family experience life in a positive way? Let that determine whether you should be holding on to this emotion or not. The problem with this, though, is being able to do this is a skill. And you can't build a skill while you're in the middle of a crisis. It's just natural freaking physiology, right? You can't be in growth and defense at the same time. That's a quote from Bruce Lipton. This means that you need to build this skill before you encounter that stressful situation so that you can essentially just plug and play and let the systems run. But we've never been taught these skills, or I don't want to say never, but most of us were not taught these skills. It's not a common thing that we learn as kids and in school. Actually, most people are taught to suppress an emotion when it comes up. Don't feel it, shove it deep down and never talk about it again. And not to be quoting Frozen over and over, but I just thought about it. Even in the Let It Go song, right? What does she say? What does Elsa say? She's like, conceal, don't feel. When I heard that playing on the TV as Bexley's watching this, I was like, holy crap. This is literally ingrained so deep. And these are in movies that our kids are watching and all of these things, right? So we're taught to have an emotion and then shove it deep down. A lot of times, because whoever taught us that probably also wasn't taught how to have a healthy emotional IQ either. It's not their fault. It's just a cycle. So again, when it comes to us building this emotional intelligence, it's important because we're passing this on to the next generation. This is what our kids are seeing. And, there's this thought that like, do what I do, not, nope, that's wrong. What am I saying? Anyway, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not editing this out. That way you guys can see the squirrel moments in my brain. But anyway, it's like, do as I say, not as I do. Okay. That's terrible advice. Terrible, because people don't do as you say. People do as you do. They do what they see, right? So you can talk all day to somebody about their emotions, but if they don't see you actually handling emotions in a healthy way, especially if it's a child learning from people who are close to them during their childhood, they're never going to develop a healthy emotional IQ either, right? So happiness is not random. People aren't just happy and they're lucky that they're happy. Okay. Cause I've literally heard people say that before, like, oh, they're so lucky. They just have a happy demeanor. They're just a happy person. And I'm not talking about being obliviously happy here. Okay. I mean, like, I don't mean just coursing around as there's a crisis happening, ignoring that there's stuff happening and pretending to be happy. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. And that is not healthy either. I mean, legitimately, life happens, things happen, bad things happen, and they still carry on with their life and they don't make themselves and everyone else around them miserable as part of their coping mechanism, right? So this is a product of health, the ability to do this, both physical health and mental health, and having a well-developed emotional intelligence. When we're looking at goals and creating action steps and plans for things to do, you don't want to try to get rid of something. You don't want to work on the negative. Okay. You need to add in the positives, because our brains are hardwired to, like, why would we ever want to do something negative? Why would we ever want to deprive ourselves of something? We're hardwired to not want to do that. So if you're creating goals and your self-talk about the goal is in a negative way, like, I am never going to ever have pizza ever again, but pizza is your absolute favorite food, do you think you're ever going to actually succeed at that for a long period of time? You can probably deprive yourself of pizza for a day or a week, maybe even a month. But are you going to make this a lifestyle change that you can sustain? Probably not. So instead of trying to deprive ourselves, we need to work on the things that we can control and the things that we want more of, right? So instead of saying, I want less pain, I want to be less tired, you need to say things like, I want more comfort, more energy, I want more movement. What do you want more of? And choose things that are going to move you in that direction. If you want to talk about symptoms, then think about symptoms that you're experiencing, like pain or fatigue, or whatever it is, and then say to yourself, am I willing to give those up? So instead of saying, I don't want pain, ask yourself, am I willing to give up pain to have more comfort? And your brain is going to be like, yeah, of course I am, right? Start thinking about things this way, and you're going to start associating more positivity with the things that you want to do. Now, I'm talking about stuff in terms of health, because that's just where my brain goes naturally, in the profession that I'm in healthcare. But you can apply this to anything, right? Whatever goal you're trying to create for yourself in your life moving forward. Don't focus on the things you can't control. Focus on what you can control. Your body only has a limited amount of energy to expend each and every day. Why waste it on things you can't do anything about? Hold on. I'm not saying this is an excuse to be lazy, though. Okay. I'm just saying, take a look at what you're expending your energy on and make sure that it's worth it. This is how you stop worrying about things and you start creating solutions. If you're focusing on all the things you can't do anything about, you are going to just exist in a big, gigantic pot of anxiety all day long. And it's hard sometimes to not exist in this pot of anxiety. Like, I get it. I've had moments like that. Am I going to say that once you decide to make this change, you are going to just be like the happy unicorn every second of the day and you're never going to fall back into this big old melting pot of anxiety? No, I'm not saying that. I have my moments very frequently where I feel and I know I'm falling into that pot of anxiety. And then I have to be very conscious to pull myself back out and say, okay, can't do anything about this. What can I do something about? What can I change? I'm going to stop focusing on this thing I can't change, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Okay. Give yourself a small goal that you can actually work on. For 5 minutes, I'm not going to worry about this thing I can't change. For 5 minutes, I'm going to work on this thing I can change. And a lot of times, giving yourself even just a 5-minute head start on something you can do something about is going to give you and give your brain momentum to keep moving in that direction. So whatever it is for you, find one thing that you can actually do something about when you start to feel this way and when you're hearing negative self-talk, and work on that even for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, stop. Do whatever the heck you want to do after that. But I'm willing to bet that when you start doing this over and over and over again, you're going to want to ride that momentum train. You're going to feel like, wow, I can make change. I can do something. And you're going to want to keep doing it. Again, I don't know. It was just a strategy for me to be able to stop worrying so much about certain things and start creating solutions. Anyway, this is a starting point for creating goals. We can talk more about plans to actually create goals later. But the thing is, if you don't start thinking about your goals and your action steps in this way, it's just like running on a hamster wheel. You're really never going to get anywhere. And I know this because I've done this over and over again with goals. So you can succeed if you know where you want to go and if you have the roadmap to get you there. Unless you're like me and you still get lost with your GPS and roadmaps. Just kidding. Not really. I'm the worst with directions, you guys know. But technology aside, you can do it. Just start thinking about things in a different way, and you're going to be able to create goals and change your self-talk in a more positive way. And it's going to make such a difference. All right. Let me know what you guys think. What kind of self-talk have you known that you can change with just a few minutes of creating solutions instead of worrying about it, right? Let me know. I want to know. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging with me. I will see you on the next episode of Weirdos Like Me. See you then.